Casting live from 1000 Freedom Way in West Bend, Wisconsin tonight. Of course, that is the brand new USCCA headquarters here in West Bend. So obviously we're here for another live training broadcast event, and I'm really excited about the training tonight, guys. We've got a lot of great experts, a lot of great training in store for you, and ultimately it's going to help you be a better responsibly armed citizen. Now, of course, we're also giving away 3 Glock 19s all throughout the evening, so you got to stick around, pay attention, and make sure that you're there if we call your name. Now, before we get to the live training broadcast, you can tell I'm in a little different location. I'm sitting here in the heart of the fulfillment area for the USCCA. Now, the fulfillment operation here, these guys work their butts off, getting all the packages, all the new member kits out, and this operation is 100% American. Now, when I say that, I mean that when you order something from us, when a new membership kit comes, anything, it's not coming from Canada, it's not coming from Mexico, it's coming from West Bend, Wisconsin. Now, please, if there's any Canadians watching, no offense to you guys, we love you. You kind of talk funny, but you're super nice people. And Mexicans, hey, you guys are great too, you got amazing beaches, but neither of you are gonna be shipping our packages because they come from here. Now, here's something interesting. You're not going to believe this, but we ship over 40,000 packages every single month out of this operation right here. That's almost 500,000 every single year. As you can imagine, the folks that work here, they got to work their butts off because on average, their packages come out in 24 hours. So an order comes in, it gets turned around in less than 24 hours. That means that you get your stuff faster and everyone's happier. All right, let's see what we got here. Hey, check it out. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the USCCA Universal Handgun Cleaning Kit. This thing, normally we sell this thing for 49 bucks. It's a great kit. It's made by Otis. If you're in the firearms business at all, you know that Otis makes hands down the best cleaning kits there are. And of course, that's why we asked them to make the USCCA cleaning kit. Now tonight only, if you're not a USCCA member and if you decide to join, I'm going to give you one of these things for free. Yes, I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's true. You're going to get one of these things 100% free. All right, what else we got here? Oh man, here we go, guys. So check this out. Here's a giant box, or actually 6 boxes of brand new USCCA membership kits. Now it looks to me like most of these are our brand new elite level membership, which we just came out in October. Now a lot of people have questions about, Tim, this elite, what's this all about? Elite USCCA membership gives you up to $2.25 million per incident. Now, of course, we all pray to God that we never have to use our guns in self-defense, but we also know, you and I know, that if we're in that situation, we're gonna do the right thing, and therefore we're gonna need backup. And I look at these envelopes, and all I could think of is that every single one of these envelopes represents a brand new USCCA family member. And so, if you're not a part of the USCCA tonight, I hope that you consider joining, because I want to be sending one of these to you and making sure that your family is protected. So again, you can tell that I'm pretty proud of this fulfillment operation. They do such a great job for all of our customers. And of course, remember the last live training broadcast, we went through the member services area, and if you remember then, I'm pretty proud of them as well. But you know what, guys? It's not just the fulfillment team, it's not just the member services team, it's everybody here. It's all 167 employees of the USCCA that make this happen. We're there to make sure that you're educated, to make sure that you're trained, and that you have the best self-defense shield protection for if you're ever in that situation. I want to make sure that I've got your back. All right, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for this live training broadcast, so I'm heading up to the studio. See you soon. Hello again, and welcome to the USCCA studio for our live training broadcast. Now tonight's topic is called Danger at Your Doorstep, what to do when your attacker strikes close to home. Now I gotta say guys, as usual, I'm really excited about tonight's training. I personally spent countless hours thinking about how to protect my family on our own property. And obviously, I'm sure that you've done the same thing. And when you really think about it, it's one of the most important places to be ready to defend the people that you love. So when you think about it, this topic literally hits close to home. All right, now here's what you can expect from tonight. First, we've got over 60 people here for today's event. You can call 877-677-1919 to talk with any of our member service agents on the phone. And the other thing is that the rest of the team is live on chat, so they're ready to field all your chat questions as well. They'd love to talk with you guys and answer all your questions, so please, I beg you, take advantage of this. These people have all volunteered to stay late and share it with you tonight. All right, now we're gonna be here for about an hour, so you need to stick with us because we've got some awesome stuff coming your way. Now, as many of you are probably hoping, yes, I'm giving away not one, not two, but 3 Glock 19s all throughout the night. I'll be drawing the winners live, so it's important that you stay tuned, and personally, I'm wishing you good luck. All right, here's the second great thing about tonight. We've got thousands and thousands of people watching live right now, so trust me, you are in great company. I know that many of you are members already, and thank you for being part of this amazing family. I'm blessed to have you. If you ever need us, I promise I'll be there to help. Now, some of you are not members, and if you're here, if you're new, here's what we do. Here's what the USCCA does in a nutshell. We educate, we train, and we provide self-defense insurance to responsibly armed Americans like you so that you can protect the people you love. When you become a USCCA member, you'll have complete peace of mind knowing that the USCCA will be there before, during, and after any self-defense incident. And we provide 100% upfront coverage with no waiting periods, and we provide 100% some of the other companies. Because here's the thing about the aftermath of a self-defense incident, and we've handled lots of them. The legal and financial costs of self-defense are absolutely devastating. With us, if you ever have to defend yourself, you can call one number and get the help you need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But just as important, we're a community. Heck, you can see a bunch of our members on chat right now. They know that if the worst case scenario ever happens, they're not alone. And you can have that same peace of mind. Plus, we've got some special offers just for you tonight. Now, I'm sure that doesn't surprise you. Members, you can claim a huge discount on your personal defense training system. Now, this is the perfect next step after tonight's training. Simply click that button below. Or, members, you can visit USCCAmembersonly.com. Now, if you're new, I'm going to make joining the USCCA tonight the easiest decision you've ever made. When you click that big button below or visit joinuscca.com to activate your elite membership tonight, you're not going to believe this, I'm going to be giving you a bonus package worth $494, absolutely free. Yes, you heard me right, $494 worth of free stuff. That is seriously the biggest bonus package that I've ever given away. It includes hours and hours of great training and a free $50 Kershaw tactical knife. But there's more. Tonight only, I'll also give anyone who activates their membership or claims their training a USCCA Universal Handgun Cleaning Kit absolutely free. This is that kit I just showed you when we were walking through the fulfillment center. Now this thing's worth $49. It's made by Otis. It's super high quality, and that's going to be on top of everything else. So let's get this squared away here. Between the bonuses and the free gift, well, honestly, guys, it pays for more than a year of membership. Plus, you've got the great protection and training that you need. And your decision is completely risk-free. It's all covered by my 100%, 365-day bulletproof money-back guarantee. Zero risk, all reward, and the peace of mind that you deserve. All right, you should see that all on the screen right now. Just give us a call at 877-677-1919 or click that big button below. Okay, it's time to introduce tonight's guest. As you can tell, we've got a couple of old standbys. And when I say old standbys, I mean old standbys. And we do have some brand new guests as well, which I'm really excited to get to know better and to learn from. So first, let's start with old standby number one, Kevin Michalowski. Kevin, of course, is the head of content at the USCCA, and he's also the executive editor of Concealed Carry Magazine. Kevin, as usual, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks. You pay me to be here, so I'm here.
That's a good point. Thanks for doing your job. Next up, we have our Proving Ground trainee. His name is Jerry Harvancic. Jerry is a retired police officer, and obviously you guys all saw him in the videos. And again, I'm really excited to learn more from Jerry and kind of get his perspective. So Jerry, thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Back to the old standby. For those of you who've seen the Proving Ground before, you realize you're probably guessing there must be some sort of a deal that Attorney Tom Grieve has with me, in the sense that when I say deal, I mean there must be some information that he has on me for him to keep. Just kidding. Attorney Tom Grieve is one of the top criminal defense attorneys in Wisconsin. He's also a member of the USCCA Law Attorney Network. Tom always provides fantastic insight, and I'm really glad that you're here again, Tom.
Ready to put the bar high for me, Tim. Thanks.
Thanks for being here. And last but certainly not least, we have our second guest. His name is Pete Boskis. Pete is a retired law enforcement officer. He's also a SWAT team member and a law enforcement trainer. And also, if you remember from the videos, Pete's the poor guy that got hit to the head with a beer bottle. So Pete, thanks for being here tonight. Yep. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Let's watch the quick recap of the first 3 Proving Ground videos before we get into tonight's live training broadcast. Matt, we ready to roll? All right, let's do it.
Hi, I'm Kevin Michalowski. Welcome to another edition of the Proving Ground, where we try to make training as real as possible. Today we'll show you just how bad things can get if an unwelcome guest arrives at your party. So Jerry, your backyard barbecue ended in gunfire, and now we got crime scene tape and everybody's gone. We'll give you a little bit of training. We'll show you a little bit about shooting and maybe add some other elements in there. This is unsighted fire. When we draw the gun, you want to pull straight up, rotate it, and come straight forward. There you go. You flexed a little bit, you rolled your shoulders forward, you were right behind that gun. Okay, let's do it one more time, Jerry. Again, you got 2 seconds to solve this problem as soon as you hear the beeper. Start fighting, let's do it. So let's bring the party goers back in here, reset, give you another scenario and see what happens. You ready?
Amen.
We've given Jerry some training and we've tried to overcome his deficiencies. Now we're going to throw him into an even more chaotic party and see how he does.
I'm no longer a police officer. I can't just jump in when I think I see a crime happening. I gotta wait for the crime to happen. I ain't gonna tell you again. Now get out of here.
Hi, I'm Kevin Michalowski.
All right, guys. Well, clearly that's a lot to unpack. A lot happened in those 3 videos. Earlier today, I was sharing with Kevin. I thought, man, you know, I sat down and watched the full length of those videos, and I couldn't help but just think, man, the information that's shared in these things, it was really getting my heart pumping and my goosebumps rolling. And I got to tell you, Jerry, when on that second scenario, man, I wanted to jump in there and help you. It was fascinating, and I'm just really excited to be able to dive in and really get in, what was going on in your head and how did you guys help train Jerry up to have the success he had in that second go around. So the first thing I think we should talk about is I want to talk about when and where can you use deadly force.
And the definition in the state of Wisconsin is deadly force can be used against any action that has caused or imminently threatens to cause death or great bodily harm to you or another person or persons. So when we pull all that together, we intentionally put Jerry into that situation in the first scenario where Pete got hit in the head with a bottle. That the guy walked in hiding the bottle, Jerry didn't see the weapon, and suddenly it's there, and all of a sudden we have a deadly force scenario. And Jerry needed to decide. We forced him to decide instantly what he was going to do at that situation. And somebody gets hit in the head with a beer bottle, that's deadly force. That's death or great bodily harm can be inflicted at that point. And we really wanted to see how quickly he would respond and what he wanted to do. And Jerry, what did you see? What do you think?
Well, I realized that the other person got hit in the head with the beer bottle, and right then and there I decided that that was deadly force. And then when the bad guy started walking towards me with a broken bottle in his hand, I knew this was not going to end well. So that's when I pulled the gun, told him to stop, and fired when he didn't stop.
Right. So just to recap, we're talking about the when and the where. So right now we're focusing on the when, and it's the reasonable fear disparity of force.
Yeah, and the where pretty much falls anywhere. It doesn't matter where this is going to happen, and we tell people that all the time. You know, we set it up as a party, and we wanted to show people that, you know, domestic violence, basically, which is.
Okay, we're back, guys. Sorry about that. We obviously had some audio technical difficulties. That's why you couldn't hear anything. I was actually looking at the YouTube feed, and there were some comments. One fella actually typed in, he goes, "Oh my goodness, thank goodness that there's no audio. I thought I suddenly went deaf," which I thought was pretty witty. But the good news is that we're just going to start over again, right where we left off, which is right after watching that recap. So if you recall that recap video of the first 3 live training of the Proving Ground videos, pretty intense, a lot to unpack, a lot to think about. And as I kind of mentioned before when I was moving my lips but you couldn't hear the sound, I'm really excited to really dive deep into both the training aspect as well as the guy that went through this, Jerry here, and really learn about what was going on in your head and what it really felt like. I think that we have a neat opportunity to share this with the thousands of people that are watching this, and ultimately hope to put them in a better position to be that defender that we're all trying to be. So first thing I'd like to talk about is the specifics of when and where you can use deadly force. This is probably one of the most common questions that we get to come in here at the USCCA, which we get a lot of questions, and everyone wants to know, Tim, how do I know exactly when I can pull that trigger? How do I know when I should or shouldn't, and the where as well? So who wants to start out? Kevin?
I'll go with the when, and there's never an exact time when you can use. There's not what in legal terms would be a bright line, laying out there. In the state of Wisconsin, we're allowed to use deadly force against any action which has caused or imminently threatens to cause death or great bodily harm to you or another person or persons. And that allows you to get involved if you want to defend someone else. In this case, Jerry was defending Pete and probably himself in this situation. But the attacker suddenly produced a weapon. And when someone gets hit in the head with a beer bottle, that can cause death or great bodily harm. So at that point, when the weapon is out, the weapon's being used, Jerry's got that decision to make. Does he want to use deadly force in this situation? And we can always do one of two things. We can escalate or we can disengage. We can get involved in the fight or we can not get involved in the fight. And from Jerry's perspective, we'll let Jerry talk to that. I don't want to speak for him. He had the legal right to use deadly force. Why he chose to do that, that's up to him. And Jerry, we'll let you go with that.
I think after the striking of the Pete's head with the bottle, I realized that was deadly force. And then the perpetrator started walking towards me with a broken bottle in his hand. And at that time, I don't think I even pulled my gun until after he hit Pete. And once he hit Pete, that's when I first pulled the weapon. And as he started walking towards me, I told him to stop, and I fired. Because I was afraid for my life at that time.
Yeah, I mean, Pete, you've been through this before, as a law enforcement officer for 23 years.
23.
Wow.
I mean, is that not the textbook definition of what we looked at right there for a deadly force scenario?
Absolutely. In law enforcement, we look for a weapon, the intent to use that weapon, and a delivery system, a way to use the weapon. When I was training, I would try and throw some comedy in there if I could, and say, if you have a person in a wheelchair with no arms or no legs and there's a shotgun sitting in their lap and they're threatening to kill you, you can't use deadly force on them because they have a weapon, they have the intent, but there's no way to function the weapon. And in that scenario, he had the beer bottle. Once it hit me, we all know about traumatic brain injury and definitely something like that could happen. But he also had a piece of the bottle left in his hand, which a sharp-edged weapon is sometimes worse than a gun. The wounds that are left are terrible to deal with. So he had every right to draw and fire that weapon because the person kept approaching. He didn't stop, he didn't drop it. There was nothing left for him to do.
And I know we've mentioned a couple times, person kept approaching. And if you're watching the video, you saw that this happened all in the span of about 2 seconds. These things are dynamic and they happen very quickly. And when we're saying he kept approaching, he only has to make 2 or 3 steps to get from where Pete was on the ground to where Jerry was standing there. So in self-defense, you have to make those decisions quickly. And I think Jerry made exactly the right choice. He did what he needed to do to protect everybody there on the scene.
Jerry, I got a question for you. So one of the things that we always talk about in setting up these these proving ground events is we're trying to simulate that adrenal stress response. You know, simulate what it's going to feel like when you don't know what's happening and you're surprised, and now your blood pressure goes through the roof. And I know, Kevin, that you do a lot of things to try to create that ASR situation. I mean, Jerry, how was it? I mean, was it pretty?
I thought it was
pretty realistic.
very realistic, and it did get my blood pressure up, and it got my adrenaline flowing. The only thing I did know was that this was my house, my granddaughter, and that's all Kevin told me. He didn't tell me anything else about what was going to happen or who was going to come on the scene or whatever, and it just went by that. And along about the second or third scenario, I was rolling.
And that's what I found as a trainer. The better the actors that you have, the more realistic they can make it, the better it is for the person training.
Okay.
So when I would set scenarios up, I would inform the actors, hey, you're the instructor too. This is what we need for him to learn.
Right.
So try and drive, everything you do drives towards that one point that you're trying to hammer home to the student.
Yeah, role players really do guide the scenario, and that's what we wanted in this scenario, was to confuse Jerry enough to make him stop and think about what was going on and make his decision-making loop happen as quickly as possible, especially in that first scenario.
Yeah, perfect. All right, guys, you got one more thing?
I
Jerry?
just wanted to add that because of my prior police experience, I was sort of trained into this. I can't imagine anybody not being trained trying to protect themselves. So I implore anybody who's thinking about carrying a concealed weapon to get some training, any training, and pay attention to what they're telling you.
I got to tell you, Jerry, that's awesome advice. Could not agree more. Speaking of that, this is a perfect segue. So we put together a short training video that ultimately is going to help you guys do a better job of quickly and accurately stopping a threat. So Matt, let's roll that video.
Okay, Jerry, we'll bring you back out here. We'll talk a little bit more about that high ready that we talked about before. In scenario 2, you came out, when you finally pulled your gun, you came out to the low ready position. You're out and down here. And it's good. It's pointing in a safe direction. Everything seems to be fine, but from a accuracy standpoint, the low ready doesn't really help us a lot because our shoulder is a rotational joint. So from here, you have to come up on target, and that shoulder moves and rotates through this entire range of motion here. So what we look for shooting accuracy is to get to what we call biomechanical stops, where your body automatically stops. So as you pull from the holster and bring to this high ready position that we were talking about before, you come straight up until the pistol stops, you rotate it toward the target, then you establish that master firing grip right in front of your chest. And now from here, you're already on target and you could shoot if you needed to, but you just punch straight out. And if you want to find the sights, you can find the sights. And if you just need to shoot quickly, you're typically right on target out in front of you that way. So these movements at these biomechanical stops, they don't let you rotate or over-rotate or get off target. So I'd like you to work on this. Just slow for form, just pull that gun out, get the master grip right in front of you, and it doesn't have to be real close to your chest. It can be 6-8 inches away. And then punch straight out and fire one shot on the target out here at Reed. Whenever you're ready, go ahead. I think you were shot high that time. Now what I'd like you to do is make sure you get the arms out extended, get your head down behind the gun, and just make the shot from this high compressed ready. So just come to the center of your chest, push forward and fire. Ready, go. There we go. Right on target. So now we're going to do that again. And we get to those biomechanical stops and it doesn't let you get off target. One more time. And that puts you right on target. And this is that neutral, natural stance that puts you when you're facing your target, because our natural inclination when something bad happens is for us to face it, kind of drop our center of gravity and put our hands out like this. Oh boy, we want to stop. So that's all of those mechanical things is just how we put our hands together and then we're shooting. Give us one more. Outstanding, right on target. Okay, so this one, you're going to have to practice. It's something totally new for you, and you have gone through thousands of repetitions of doing it the other way. So to build this up, we want you to practice with an unloaded gun, no ammo in the room, and just dry fire this practice. Just practice those mechanical skills.
Got it.
We got one more training drill for you, and then we'll let you go.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Kevin, as usual, great training, appreciate that. Now it's time to get into the questions. So one of the most favorite parts of these live training broadcasts from the viewer's perspective is the fact that we take questions for you guys. And so we get these questions in two ways. Number one, we do some surveys about 2 or 3 weeks before this whole event takes place, and we collate all the questions, get the best ones. But at the same time, we also have, I think there's a couple, maybe 30 or 40 people that are manning the live chats right now, and they're funneling the best questions up to Matt, who's sending them right to my computer that is sitting right in front of me right now. So that's how that works. All right, let's do the questions. So first question we got here is from a gentleman by the name of Earl, and this is actually a fantastic question. I can't wait to hear your answers, guys. How would this event have played out differently if Jerry were a guest at someone else's house?
Wow. Well, as we said in the beginning, you can use deadly force against any action that will imminently threaten to cause death or great bodily harm. You're allowed to. I don't know if Jerry would have been defending somebody else with deadly force at a different, at someone else's property. That's a decision every single person has to make. You have no moral imperative. There's no duty for you to pull out your gun and start shooting to save somebody else. So that falls squarely on Jerry. He gets to make the decision on that one. So.
The only thing I would add is once the bottle struck the head and he started walking towards me with a broken bottle in his hand, that changed the whole thing. If he would have just, granted it was allegedly my granddaughter, if he'd have just been dragging her out, I'd been following him out there and trying to keep her away. I'd never shot him unless he came towards me with a deadly weapon.
Right.
So the short answer would be it shouldn't change it at all.
Right.
Yeah.
It shouldn't change it at all if it's his house or not his house. It still falls on Jerry to decide how he's going to react.
And keep in mind, this of course also happened in the yard. So generally speaking, in most states, check your local laws when we're talking about castle doctrine and things like that, which is probably going to be the main determiner as far as, and this goes back to Earl's question here, of what would change if you're at person A's house versus your guest versus your own house. But this all happened in the yard. So really we're just back to that core foundational self-defense law that Kevin covered earlier, which is here in Wisconsin and pretty similar in most states. You have to be in reasonable fear of imminent death or great bodily harm, which is what Jerry was describing earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Excellent. Good clarification. Okay, ready for the next question, guys? So this is from a person who does not have a name, so this must be from one of our earlier surveys. The question is, should I need to warn a home invader? Doesn't it give away my safe position and the location of my family?
There's a lot of debate on this, and I see Pete smirking over there as well, too. In state of Wisconsin, with our castle doctrine law, you do not need to warn a home invader. The court must determine that the person in your home is there to cause death or great bodily harm. But I ask people, okay, do you want that perfect ambush location? Do you want to have this fight? Or what if you say, hey, I'm here, I got a gun, get out of my house, I've called the police. It gives the invader the opportunity to take off and get out of there. And I always say the best fight is the one you're not in. If you end up shooting this person in your home, that opens up an entirely different can of worms. Then you're going to be talking to guys like Pete when they arrive, guys like me when I arrive, Tom later on. So all of that stuff comes into play. So again, personal decision. What do you want to do? And from a tactical standpoint, why do you want to preserve that element of surprise?
Right, and keep in mind that in most of the studies that are out there, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but for most of the studies that I've seen, when somebody is under attack and they basically meet force with their own force, specifically with a display or an attempted use of their own deadly force back. In other words, they're employing some sort of weapon or knife or something like that, a firearm, the attacker tends to take off right away.
Yep.
So this seems like, I mean, a great way to get out of the situation, or at least hopefully get out of the situation. Downside being is that if you are out in the open, if you saying something might lure your 5-year-old kid to all of a sudden run down the hallway, situations may vary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the way I look at it is it's kind of twofold. Unfortunately, there's accidental shootings too. If you have the perfect ambush set up and the wrong person comes in and you don't give them warning, you know, hey Dad, it's me home from college, when you weren't expecting them. It helps eliminate that problem. The second part is from just the physical reaction to that much stress. Anytime you yell, you have to breathe, and the more you breathe, the better you can make decisions, the better you can aim. Everything works better. So forcing yourself to yell something forces you to breathe, and so everything works better.
Good answer. Guys, here's let's go a little bit deeper on this question of when to use deadly force. Here's the question. If the robber or the attacker doesn't have a weapon, doesn't obviously have a weapon, but is making serious threats, when is a good time for deadly force?
Wow.
So I think what they're getting at is, do you have to,
Yep.
do you have to, like, if they're saying, I have a gun, I'm going to kill you, but you don't see the gun, what?
Well, you know, first thing they told me at the police academy was, if someone says they're going to kill you, believe them. So if that comes out, you know, that's clearly, the intent is clearly stated if they say they're going to do that. But I would make sure that everyone knows that every living person with 2 arms and 2 legs has a weapon. They can punch you, they can stomp you. One punch will knock a person out, and then you are at the mercy of what will happen at that situation. So each situation is different. And when can you use deadly force? Well, when you reasonably believe and can articulate to an investigating officer or to a prosecuting attorney or who's ever going to be talking to you, I reasonably believed that I was in imminent danger. And, you know, imminent danger means it's happening right now. So you have to be able to explain to someone, because someone's going to ask you that question. That's the difference between good guys and bad guys, is we're the good guys, we stay around when the police arrive and we answer questions. Bad guys take off running. So you have to be able to articulate that I was in danger and that's why I chose to use force.
And keep in mind that when the police do arrive, again, since there's 3 officers or former officers on this panel here, my experience as a defense attorney, as well as former prosecutor, I'll add, is that invariably the guy who is just threatening your life will probably say, I never said that, or no, he was saying that, or oh, I was just joking and he knew it, or whatever. So just expect that to be what you're going to be dealing with, as it's going to turn into a he said, regardless of what happens from that point on.
And it's
Good
the
points.
reasonableness of it. You know, if you're in the garage and the guy's in your living room trying to take your TV, yelling over his shoulder, you come out here, I'm going to kill you, and you shoot him through the wall, that's not reasonable. But if they're right there, face to face, and it's that quick, that's when that decision has to be made.
Awesome. Good answers, guys. All right. I think that's enough for questions for this first section. And again, all you folks that are watching right now, feel free to just type your questions on the chat box, and then we'll funnel them up to Matt here, and he'll do his magic, and he'll send them up to me. So let's move on to the next part, and drum roll here. Yes, that's correct. We are going to give away the first gun. Now remember, there will be 3 winners tonight. I'm only going to do 1 winner now, so that means there's 2 left after this. We're giving away 3. See how I did that math in my head? We're giving away 3 Glock 19s. I'm not sure if they're Gen 4s or Gen 5s or what, but they are worth an estimated $620 each. But of course, since we're giving them away, they'll be free for you.
Are we in the drawing?
No, Jerry can't win.
You're not in the drawing. This is for the folks watching this. And of course, don't forget, we're also giving away this handy dandy $49 free handgun cleaning kit with tonight's tonight's offers. And I know I talked about this before down in the fulfillment center, but guys, this is an awesome cleaning kit. It's made by Otis, and they don't mess around in terms of cleaning kits. So start with the first winner. Matt, who is the winner? Here we go. You gave it to me 1 minute ago. Okay. So I always kind of screw this up, so bear with me. So the first gun winner's email address begins with the following letters: RASPRAGUE. RASPRAGUE. So if that's the beginning of your email address, congratulations, you just won. We'll be contacting you since we have your full email address. We'll be sending you. So if your email address is close but it's not the same, then just don't send us email because you didn't win. All right, so congratulations, whoever you are. You will win that first Glock, and it's always fun to win guns. At least that's what I think. So let's move on. Next up, we've got training topic number 2, and this we're talking about. So Jerry, you're surrounded by the family during both the scenarios, right?
Yes.
And I can remember, Kevin actually walked you through some drills about, hey, let's talk about target isolation, and especially making the decision whether or not to use your weapon when there's other people around you. So let's talk about that. Target isolation first.
Yeah, target isolation is a key element in making sure that you don't hurt anyone except the person you've decided to hurt. And we have to understand that is, muzzle management means that when a projectile comes out of your muzzle, it causes no unintended harm. And that's exactly what we want, is no unintended harm. In a self-defense shooting, we intend to shoot the person we're shooting at. Jerry, how many people did you see, or did you only see the bad guy when that gun came out?
Actually, I only saw the bad guy, but I did see my granddaughter next to him.
Mm-hmm.
So if you noticed, I did move
Yeah.
to get her out of the sight, line of sight.
And target isolation is so important because we tell people all the time, you are responsible for every round that comes out of your gun. And you don't want to be held accountable for shooting an innocent along the way. So, the old rule is pay attention to your target and what's beyond it. But in a crowded situation like this, there's people between you and the target. There's people off to the right and left of the target. The target's moving, you're moving. Lots of things can go on. So we just want to make sure that you're paying attention to everything that happens around. Pete?
Any other comments on?
That sums it all up. You own that bullet. Once that leaves the barrel, that's yours, and you are responsible for whatever that bullet does for however far it travels.
Okay, what about the other component of this, which is, and I kind of briefly touched on it before, but that adrenal stress response and really controlling your body under stress. So Kevin, you kind of took Jerry through a drill to help him with that.
Yeah, we put a timer on him, and obviously a shot timer can never put the kind of stress that we put on him in the training, and never the kind of stress that you're going to deal with in a real scenario, a real situation like this. But what we're trying to do is elevate people's heart rate and get them to think about multiple things that are happening while they're doing all of the rest of the stuff that's going on out there, while they're trying to put the front sight on the target, and while they're trying to operate the trigger effectively and things like that. And Jerry, I'll let you talk to what you were thinking as this whole thing unfolded. Not the training that we gave you afterwards, but when you were involved in shooting, were you feeling stress?
I was certainly feeling stress, and but if you remember, we were talking about the first scenario where I just shot at the guy and wasn't using my sights. Because of target acquisition here, I did use my sights to target the bad guy.
Yeah, and
Didn't just spray the rounds around.
yeah. We got to, and like Pete said, you own that bullet. We got to put them on target when we're out there, and that's get the front sight up in front of your face, get in front of your eyes, and be looking at it. And where the front sight is, that's where the bullet's going to go.
I just want to add one other thing. You taught me pulling the weapon up here like this and then pushing it out. I had never done that in 35 years or 40 years when I was practicing. I was always just bringing it up.
Yeah.
And I have been practicing this, and I think it's an excellent idea, and I can understand the mechanics behind it and why you do that. So I do that all the time. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Well, the reason we went to that, punching that weapon out too, is that back in the old days, when they were shooting,
remember the old
days, back when they were using 6-shooters, officers would fire the first 3 or 4 rounds into the ground because they're swinging the gun up. They see the threat and they would fire into the ground until they came on target. and they realize that those first 3 rounds are wasted. So.
Yeah, and you know, a very wise firearms instructor once said that firearms methodology has gone on for decades unimpeded by progress. And when there's something that we can do better, like punching that gun straight out forward, you know, it's just, people started to think about this. Like Pete said, you know, they started looking at the shootings, where are those rounds really going, and where do we want them to go? One of them goes right straight in front of us, because as human beings, we orient to the threat and we try to push it away from us. So.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, there was a shooting in Milwaukee with a Milwaukee police officer, and I was told that he was bringing his gun up like he was supposed to, and he shot the guy in this position.
Yeah.
And got him.
Yep.
You didn't have to punch it out.
Yeah.
But you can be shooting from here where you can't be shooting from there because the gun is down.
That's a great point, Jerry. So speaking of all this training, guys, I think it's time to watch the next training video. And this training video is going to help you be able to shoot one-handed, even if your dominant hand is unavailable. So let's watch it.
All right, Jerry, we got another training drill for you. You had mentioned that every once in a while you might have to use a cane. And there's probably other folks out there who are using a cane for mobility or at least balance. So if your gun hand is encumbered, if you need the cane on your right side and your gun hand is encumbered, we want to try to give you a little practice on what you might need to do with that cane. I don't want you to just throw it and get rid of it, okay? That might be the easiest, quickest thing to do, but you might need that cane to assist you in either balance or mobility, and you know what? It might work as a good striking tool if it gets to that point. So when we say go, I'm going to have Reed walk in. I want you to shift that cane to your left hand and keep it kind of in front of you to help you with balance. Draw one-handed and put rounds on him until the threat stops, okay? So we're just going to do this. It's going to be kind of slow for form, and we're going to see how it works. Are you ready? Begin. Reed, start walking. We got 2 perfect hits right on there, okay? Took you a little while to get on target though, didn't it?
Wow.
Imagine if he was running. Let's try this again. We're going to have you walk a little bit faster. Pick up your pace, Reed.
Okay.
Begin.
All right, that's it. I'm coming for you. I'm coming.
Look how quick he got. He closed that space right here. He was 15 feet away when he started. You put 2 rounds right on him, that's good. He might still be coming. You got to try to get out of the way. One more time.
Right.
And this time after you shoot, take a step that way. Take a step to your right so you don't step on me. You ready?
Ready.
Begin.
All right, that's it, old man. You're dead.
There we go. 2 hits on that one too. Again, you don't always get that perfect stance, but when you lower your center of gravity and you put that gun out in front of you, you're putting those rounds right on target. Okay, Jerry, this is probably not something you practice a lot, making that transition with your cane, but it's something you can do in the garage or in the basement with dry fire practice, just getting that in the habit of moving that cane to your other hand and getting the gun out there on target. Jerry, these are definitely perishable skills. These are things you've got to practice. Can you do that for me?
I will do that. I promise.
Okay, hope you guys liked that training video as well as the first one. Now it's time to get to some more questions. So topic 2 questions, isolating your target and engaging. Now before we get into those specific questions, we did get a really good question that just got sent in from the chat lines. And that question is, here it is. Jerry was at a birthday party. If he had had a drink, obviously we're referring to an alcoholic drink, before this had happened, would this hurt his case in court?
Well, I can say that you're allowed to have your gun in a bar, but you're not allowed to be drinking. So I will defer to Tom as we look this stuff over, because you know, I would arrest somebody if they've been drinking and they've been involved in a shooting. So.
Sure, and I think it's very safe, just to kind of use it as a launching point, to say that you're going to get arrested. Generally speaking, it's very common, and we've had any number of clients at our firm who have been involved in self-defense shootings where they do get arrested, or they get, at least they have to follow the officer down to the station in the back of a squad car for some questioning and so forth that follows. But getting back to the question here, which was, again, what happens if you're mixing alcohol and firearms at the end of the day? Number one, because we really have 2 separate issues. Number one is, what's the legality of the shoot itself? To my way of thinking, whether you were impaired or not, which of course is a separate question than drinking, because you can have 1 sip and now you've been quote unquote drinking, but you may not be impaired. At the end of the day, I keep coming back to what's the facts of the shoot. If a person can look at the facts that they existed, and keep in mind, things vary from state to state. There might be what's called an objective standard. In other words, looking from the outside in, was taking an objective look at everything, or a subjective standard. In other words, what was the situation as Jerry there, our shooter in this case, what was the situation as Jerry knew? But either way, whether objective or subjective as your state may be, was this a good shoot? Impaired or not, was it a good shoot? If somebody breaks out of a car or runs out of a car with a gun and we're, heaven forbid, in our scenario, were to start shooting people, I don't think realistically people are going to be focused on whether or not Jerry had 1 drink, 0 drinks, or 5 drinks. If he makes a good shoot, I don't think that there's going to be any question there that hopefully when the DA reviews the case, that the person's going to be not guilty, at least of anything when it comes to using that force. However, the reason it's going back now, so this is the really long, convoluted lawyer answer, right? So that was number 1, which was what was wrong with the actual shoot itself. I think that as long as you're good, there's nothing wrong. But number 2 is keep in mind that many states, including Wisconsin here, there are separate laws involving intoxicated possession of a firearm and so forth, which means that you are opening yourself up. If you're making the decision to carry, and if you're making the decision to drink, you are opening yourself up to at least some penalties. And there may not be a defense or privilege of, but look, it was a good shoot. That may be irrelevant to that particular situation. So general legal advice, when I get asked this question, is don't do it. It's either or, okay?
Either carry your gun or have a drink.
Right.
And I guess I would like to touch on that, regardless of how good a shoot is, when officers come rolling up, there's a dead guy surrounded by a bunch of people that are family and friends. And it's a homicide, no matter if it was a legitimate shoot or not. So we come in and it's not gonna be pleasant for anybody. You know, there's not going to be, hey, that was a great shoot, high five, you know, go clean your gun. It's a homicide investigation, and we have to do that so that we get all the answers. Like, yeah, Jerry was loaded from the party, and somebody put the beer bottle in the other guy's hand. We got to make sure something like that didn't happen. So don't get mad at the officers when they come roll up and they're acting like they should. It'll all come out in the wash at the end.
Great points, Pete. Guys, let's move to the next question here. Are there things to avoid saying to an aggressor in a conflict situation because of potential legal ramifications? So I think they're referring to during the actual conflict.
I would avoid saying, go ahead, hit me. That makes it legal.
You gave him permission.
Yeah, if, you gave him permission to assault you, so don't ever say that.
I dare you, or
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
dare you. Nothing that you want to provoke anybody. I mean, like I said earlier, we can do 2 things. We can escalate or we can disengage. We can escalate or de-escalate. We want to be a person who's involved in this without escalating the situation at all. We want to be almost a passive observer to what's going on. We don't want to be the person who is causing the problem.
Right, and keep in mind as well that in the event that your case does get to court, anytime you talk about intent, anytime you talk about knowledge, generally speaking, a judge is going to tell the jury, look, you can't read someone's mind as to what they were thinking or what they knew, but you can infer knowledge based off what they've said and what their actions were. So if you're acting like a jackass, that's probably not going to reflect well. Kind of the rule of thumb I always like to tell clients is, look, don't say or do anything that you wouldn't be proud of showing your mom on the front page of the newspaper tomorrow, okay? That's kind of my standard, I guess, when it comes to these sorts of things. But be careful, because everything you're going to say is not only going to be getting replayed against you in court by, in our particular case, any number of witnesses from the party, but also keep in mind that when they go to remember this, when they're talking to the responding officers and deputies and so forth, they may not be remembering it exactly as the way it happened. And if they do, the embellishments usually don't work to anybody's favor. They tend to take something from bad to worse. They don't tend to moderate bad to, you know, something a little less bad. So if you said something bad, it tends to get worse.
Wow.
And calm down.
Right.
In the history of the world, nobody's ever calmed down when somebody else has told them. Just calm down.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, good points, guys. Here's one more on this topic. How many shots are acceptable when shooting someone who is ready to harm your family or yourself? Is there a...
Jerry?
Let me answer that question. Only because I was chided about the amount of rounds that I expended on the first scenario, and I believe it was 5 or 6. But again, I was going by my training, and the training was all the time is to keep on shooting until the guy goes down. That's why I kept on shooting, because I knew it was the right to shoot in the first place, and then when I started shooting, he didn't fall to the ground. And my mind was, again, because of the adrenaline was going, was always, if I'm going to use lethal force, shoot until he goes down, or until he stops.
Yeah, until the threat stops.
Till the
Until
threat
the
is
threat
stopped.
stops, yeah.
Stop, stop the threat. He may not go down, but if he's no longer a threat, then you
Yeah.
can't shoot him anymore.
Exactly.
But if he's still a threat, then keep shooting him until he's not a threat. So,
And it's not like television or movies. When you have a round enter your body, they don't instantly fall down and they don't fly back 50 feet. It usually makes them more angry. So it's just the way it works. And the smaller the round, the less damage it causes, the longer they're angry.
And also shot placement, of course, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So short answer, shoot to stop the threat. We don't
Yep.
shoot to injure, we don't shoot to kill, we shoot to stop the threat. All right, one last question, guys, then we're going to move on to topic number 3. This is a good one. How do you handle a situation where everyone else is panicking?
Don't panic. Don't be one of them.
Stay
Yeah.
calm.
yep. Do your best to stay calm. Autogenic breathing, that helps, deep breath in, deep breath out, deep breath in, deep breath out. I always look at it this way. There has to be one person in this whole group of people who tries to stay under control. So I would prefer that it be me. So I just think to myself, what am I going to do next? In a situation like this, what am I going to do next? And like Pete said, no one ever calms down. If you're screaming at them, calm down. That's not going to happen.
It doesn't work.
I would just add that the training that you receive, whether it's redundant or whatever it is, that will help you remain, you as the shooter or the protector, to stay calm as you possibly can.
Yeah. If you've seen something before, you're probably not going to panic.
And it doesn't matter if you've seen it in real life. Picture it in your head. Rehearse in your head. When you walk into the restaurant, my wife hates it, I have to have this chair all the time so that I can see the doors, I know where my exits are, I know what my response is going to be if I'm armed or not. She knows that even if I'm not carrying that day, I'm addressing that threat one way or another. So even if that's giving the bad guy a different target to shoot at, maybe I'm stopping a round that would have killed someone else, or I'm going to get to him. I know what malfunctions look like, I know what an empty gun looks like, and I'm going to try and pick my time to attack if I can. But that all comes with mental rehearsal, and every cop does it. You have to, So it's a good thing to get into. You don't have to actually see somebody do something like that. You can picture it in your mind, what's my response going to be? So when it does happen, you have that little bit of anticipation already on what you're going to do.
And keep in mind as well, and it keeps coming up here, and just to kind of underline and bold it as well. I realize that giving money to an attorney is a bit of an unholy act. Nobody likes doing it, but the best way to avoid it is to do what you're doing right now, which is to engage in training, engage with groups and organizations that promote not only training, but excellent training, and foster an ongoing discussion about what happens in various scenarios. So this is exactly the sort of thing, if you don't want to be giving money to an attorney, which I get it, no one does, but if you really, really, really don't want to give money to an attorney, then this is the reason why you need to be more engaged in groups like the USCCA and get involved with the Concealed Carry magazine and the fantastic training videos that are out there.
Excellent points, guys. Pete, just to underscore what you said, I mean, that's really the whole, the genesis of these Proven Ground series. We want to teach people, like, guess what? Your brain doesn't know the difference if it's experienced it in real life or if you've done it in your head. And so there's tremendous traction that can be made by just thinking about stuff and picturing what you would do in your mind's eye in a tough situation, and that'll prepare you for real life. So that's a great habit to get into, and I love the fact that here we are, we're teaching people to do that, and I can just imagine the good results that will come. So we went through all of Jerry's scenarios. Jerry, thanks for being the guinea pig. You did a great job. I really appreciate it. I've personally never done one of these before, and hopefully Kevin never asked me to. But no, it was fantastic, and I know that your experience was appreciated by the thousands of people that are watching this right now. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Kevin for giving me the opportunity, and USCCA for also giving me the opportunity. It was an enlightening experience for me. It really was.
Good, good. Well, so we talked about the scenarios, but now let's talk about what happens after you shoot. This is critical, right? So we're talking about when the police arrive, when the responding officers arrive, the investigative officers. Tom, I'd love for you to talk us through some of the legal aftermath. I mean, is it important to call 911 right away, or do you wait around? Or so who wants to start with this one?
Race to 911. Be the first caller. That makes you the complainant, and you know, people who know how to work the legal system will call and say, yeah, guy in a red shirt was just shooting at me, and suddenly they're looking for Pete when it was Pete who was involved in the self-defense incident. And Pete can speak better than most on what you should do when guys like him arrive. I mean, listen to what they say.
First thing is calm down. Because it's not going to be pretty. Odds are your gun's going to get confiscated. You're going to get patted down. You're probably going to get taken to the sheriff's department or the police department. We're going to separate you from everybody else and everybody else from each other, so we can get. You're going to get 100 different stories, but there's always going to be that I call it the arc of truth. That the main topics are going to be the same. There's going to be little variances here and there, but you can iron those out if you get enough point of views. So it's going to be traumatic. It's a whole nother trauma to your system to go through that, because you know in your heart that it was a good shoot. You had no other choice. But we have to do that so you can go to court and tell 12 other people your story and have all that evidence backing you up. Unfortunately, that's the way the system works. It has to work that way to make sure that people aren't covering up bad shoots, because that's the worst. That's the worst thing, coming in and seeing something that, man, it didn't have to go down like that at all.
And you made the point earlier that it's a homicide. Police are investigating a homicide, and what they're trying to figure out is it a justifiable homicide or not? Was it self-defense or not? And responding officers don't know what's going on at the scene. They don't know what you know. They know that there's been a shooting. They weren't there. Now they know there's a gun out, somebody's been shot, and the other thing they know is they're not going to get shot. So it's no time to be arguing with the police officer, and it's no time, I'll lead it right into you, it's no time to be making wild statements either to the police officers. Keep your mouth shut. Just say, yep, he attacked me, there's some evidence over there, I'll talk to you after I speak to my attorney.
Right, exactly. And on that point, one of the first questions that you're going to be getting, whether on the scene, probably not on the scene, probably later, your spouse, your girlfriend, or whoever is going to be asking this question, which is, who is your attorney? Who is our attorney? Who do we call? That's where, coming back to, as an example, I'm going to be getting into some interesting comparison, contrasting right now, but that's where we start talking about, as an example, the USCCA. When people ask me, who am I supposed to call, Tom, if I do, God forbid, get into trouble? Usually I ask them, well, do you have some sort of insurance product? Are you a USCCA member? If they say yes, I say, great. Then you've got the USCCA 24/7 hotline. Call them, because they're going to be able to walk you through things, and they will be able to advise you, your significant other, whoever it is that's the next person, in order to get through the next several steps, to kind of survive that first 24 to 48 hours, basically. All right, because if you don't get through that, if you make critical mistakes during that time, you're going to be looking back for weeks, months, and most likely years and even decades, wishing that you hadn't done that. All right, but when we start talking about now about different insurance products, different self-defense insurance, as far as what's out there, you're going to notice that, just as I noticed, that there's a huge difference as far as who can you hire as an attorney. Some of the insurance products that are out there, you don't really have a choice. They may have 1, 2, 3, whatever it might be, attorneys that are in network, kind of like a health insurance organization, and you have to use those attorneys. So you may think that you're covered for something. You may think that you have some sort of insurance product that will cover you in the event God forbid, that you do have to use your firearm, you do have to use that knife, that taser, that pepper spray, that right jab, whatever it is, okay? But you may find very quickly that the attorneys that are in network are not the attorneys that you thought you were going to be staking your life and the life of your kids and the life of your loved ones on, all right? I've seen some of the attorneys that are in network at some of these organizations, and unfortunately it's rather shocking. The USCCA, by contrast, allows you to choose any attorney that you want. So whether you want that to be your trusted friend, that uncle, that cousin, or basically the hot shot that's in town or in state, whatever it is, they're going to stand behind you and they're going to back you up. In other words, they put you in the driver's seat of making what's going to be one of, if not the most decision of your entire life. You're not in the back being taken for a ride. You're in the driver's seat, which is a critical distinction between the USCCA and everybody else. The next thing is going to be, okay, I know the guy I want to hire, the man or the woman attorney who's out there, they've won all these different cases, they're fantastic, that's the one. Great. Follow-up question, how are you going to hire them? Do you have to write a check? Do you have to bring cash? What's the deal here? What's the next step? How do retainers actually work? There's a lot of misinformation that's out there, okay? And different plans from different companies are going to function different from one another. An example of one company that's out there, without naming names, is they're going to say, and if you look at the attorney end, in other words, the end that us law professionals, us lawyers and attorneys are asked to sign off and agree to, is they'll say, okay, great, hey, we've been contacted. We have an insured of ours who wants to hire you and your services. Here's our deal, sir. We give you $2,500 now. Once your person's been charged, we give you another $2,500. Once you're through indictment, we give you another $2,500. And if the case goes to jury trial and is charged and handled through jury trial, we give you your last $2,500. And of course, that's where myself and pretty much every other defense attorney worth their salt says, wait a second, I get to do an entire homicide case for 10 grand? Consider for a moment that in a recent high-profile shooting case that we're all familiar with, there was over 6,000 hours billed of legal services just between a couple different attorneys. 6,000 hours. That means that if your attorney's getting paid $10,000, basic short public math here, you're being paid well below minimum wage, right? No attorney is going to take that case. And your so-called insurance product that's going to be standing behind you, you're going to be standing on top of them as you're on your way to the bank to try to figure out how much money can I pull out to go and retain the guy or the woman that I want. Another plan that's out there will say, look, we'll pay a certain percentage, 20, 30%, 10%, whatever it is. We'll pay a certain percentage down towards criminal defense attorneys. Because don't worry, most criminal defense attorneys don't bill until actually the case is done. I've never met that criminal defense attorney that doesn't bill. I know some criminal defense attorneys where if they think your case is interesting and they'll get lots of media out of it, maybe they'll take it pro bono. I assure you, you do not want to have the case that other people think is the freak homicide case, okay? That's not the case you want, long and short, all right? And also, if an attorney is willing to sink thousands and thousands and thousands of free hours into your case, you're going to have to be second-guessing yourself whether or not, frankly, that's the attorney that you want at the end of the day. The attorney that you want is probably, I hate to say it, but moment of honesty here, it's probably the attorney that you're going to have to mortgage your house and empty your bank account to go get. That's the attorney that you're probably going to want. And an insurance policy that's going to put 20% down on the retainer, leaving you to pick up the extra, $50, $100, $200,000 as a downstroke, that's not exactly going to be helping you out. That's an insurance policy that's going to be exactly as good as the size of your bank account. Keeping in mind the costs that we see out there, which, by the way, start in the 5 figures, I hope that you have a large bank account if you're going to have one of those insurance products. By contrast, the USCCA is willing to front money up front for you. They will take care of your criminal defense attorney. They will take care of the bail money. They have the rapid response team that's going to be able to basically quarterback for you and your family some of the early outset problems, which I assure you always happen when someone's in jail or when someone's just getting out of jail, when you're trying to coordinate all these different parties that are coming together. So again, from my perspective, and that's, by the way, the reason, candidly, why I'm up here on this stage rather than someone else's stage, is the fact that when you compare the USCCA to the rest, whether it's the bottom of the barrel or the top of the barrel, the USCCA is way, way, way better. Way better. Compare the products. The last thing I want to touch on is this, is that some of the insurance products that are out there, they will only cover you in the event that you are actually using a firearm. Which means if you have to pick up the baseball bat to defend yourself, to defend your granddaughter Amanda, as we saw in our coverage this week from our training scenario, whether you have to use the pepper spray, whether you have to use, going back to the right hand jab or the right hook or whatever it is, you're not going to be covered, period. Also keep in mind that some of these insurance products will not cover you unless you're acting in castle doctrine scenarios. So in other words, in your home, in your business, in your car, whatever it might be for your state. I've seen other insurance products that are out there as well, where they will not cover you until, as they term it, an independent tribunal or an independent board first clears you that you were affirmatively acting in self-defense. That's basically code for some of the employees of the company who are going to get together and see if they feel like writing a 5 or 6 figure check for you, all right? This is not an insurance product that I would be looking to purchase. Again, sharp contrast with the USCCA. Some of these competitors that are out there, if you look at them, best case scenario, they're castle doctrine with a handgun insurance. United States Concealed Carry Insurance, by contrast, is a comprehensive self-defense insurance. It follows you where you go. You don't have to go to it in your house, in your car, wherever it is that it might be. One kind of open secret that attorneys get to know is how to shop for insurance the right way. What I mean by that is this. Most people, when you're shopping for insurance, whether it's for homeowners insurance, whether it's for car insurance, whether it's for whatever it is, most people in my experience shop on the basis of premiums. Right? They look to see who am I paying the cheapest with. Oh, those guys are $5 cheaper or $20 cheaper. I'm going with those guys. The way that most attorneys in my experience, particularly personal injury attorneys, who are the ones that work with insurance companies and battle them day in, day out in the trenches, what they've always told me is, Tom, don't shop off premiums, shop off claims. And what they mean by that is this. If I'm paying $20 less per year on my auto insurance policy, but God forbid I need to use it, how many thousands and thousands and thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars or more, will I lose by trying to get the cheapest policy that's out there? Because that insurance company is going to throw me under the bus. They're going to have hidden disclaimers. They're going to have hidden all these different things for them to hide behind. Smart attorneys and attorneys that I know and respect shop on the basis of claims. That's what I suggest that people do when they look at, when they contact me asking about self-defense insurance. Look to see the company, look to see the people, and look to see exactly what it is that you're getting and how this works. Because your life is going to be dependent on it.
Wow, Tom, that was awesome. Seriously, I really appreciate that kind of really overarching perspective, and you don't really hear that often from an attorney, and so thank you very much for that. There are a few more questions that have to do with kind of what you're talking about. Do you mind talking a little bit more on this?
Sure.
So the one question that a lot of people are asking is, what's the most common legal mistake that someone will tend to make after they use their defensive weapon?
They talk to the police too much, to be exact. Exactly what Pete said, exactly what Kevin was saying, where you need to survive the next encounter, which is where the police show up. You don't want them to misidentify you as a bad guy. And frankly, keep in mind, they don't know whether you're a good guy or a bad guy. They just see a guy with a gun when they show up and if you have it out and it's presented, all right? So survive that next encounter, follow their instructions. Frankly, I don't care how demeaning they may sound as far as you getting on the ground, you dropping your firearm, you going spread eagle. I don't care. You have to survive. It's really that simple, okay? So survive that next encounter. Point out the evidence that you see on the scene. If the attacker is using a screwdriver to come at you and you're in your garage, the officers responding may not recognize that screwdriver, which fell 10 feet across the floor and slid. They may not recognize that as a vital piece of evidence in your case. So you need to point out some of those things. If there's a key witness that was there that you think is going to be beneficial, great, point that out, okay? But If it's me, I'm not necessarily going to be going into all the details. Let me tell you why. This is not an anti-police sentiment. This is not an anti-police sentiment at all. This is a pro-I love my wife sentiment. This is a pro-I love my family sentiment. Odds are when something happens like this, and we've heard it multiple times tonight that Tim brought up when we talk about adrenal system response and everything else, you are going to not, candidly, be functioning as you normally would. You may not be remembering everything as you normally would. And this is assuming that this happens at 2 p.m. on a day where you got perfect sleep and everything's going fine, let alone something happened at 4 a.m. in the morning and you just woke up 30 seconds before this happened. There will be a time for you to tell your side of the story. That will happen. But it needs to come later when you've had some rest, when you've had a period of time to reflect on everything that's happened, so you can put together the timeline in your own words and in your own pace. And then if it's appropriate and if it's your counsel's advising it, then weigh that decision to go in and talk to law enforcement and you give a full statement.
Excellent. Excellent, Tom. Thank you, man. Here's another one. Tom, if I injure an attacker, why do they have the right to sue me for damages?
Well, look, for starters, I'm not one of those dirty personal injury attorneys that we were just talking about, all right? I'm one of those noble criminal defense attorneys, okay?
Nice.
As any officer here could tell you, right? If my wife's watching, I hope I make it to the parking lot now, okay? Look, anybody can be sued at any time for any reason, all right? There's nothing saying that as we're sitting here right now, someone isn't filing a lawsuit against all 5 of us for supposedly hitting someone's car in Massachusetts in a van together, okay? Just because someone's suing someone doesn't mean that they're going to prevail. So that's just for starters. We live in a free country. One of the very, 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 very annoying things of that is that people can be sued at any time. That's not necessarily fair, but that is one of the downsides that comes with freedom here, okay? That being said, look, in my experience, when we do have situations like this, we've heard about a number of cases in the news where there have been self-defense shootings. Sometimes people do get sued, and sometimes the real victims, Jerry, in our situation where he had to defend his granddaughter Amanda, he might get sued for that. He's the victim here, and he's going to get victimized again by the civil process. Again, I'm not saying that that's fair. I'm not saying you've got to like it. But what I will say is that if Jerry does a good job, if he surrounds himself with excellent lawyers and a legal team, then God willing, he will prevail in the end. That justice will hopefully find a way, as it were. Doesn't mean it won't be annoying. Doesn't mean he won't have to front some money, depending upon whether or not, again, he's got USCCA insurance and so forth. But unfortunately, that's sometimes it's just the system that we live in.
Wow, excellent. So I just got a note from Matt here that all the viewers are loving listening to Tom talk, which doesn't surprise me because he's a pretty smart guy. So the only way that we can move on here is, I believe, if I give another gun away. So let's move on to giving another gun away. And again, Tom, thank you just for really speaking from your heart and providing so much value. We really appreciate that. So gun winner number 2 is coming over right now. Again, this is our second Glock 19. And of course, don't forget that tonight, everyone that joins the USCCA or takes advantage of our member offer, we're going to give you this awesome USCCA Universal Handgun Cleaning Kit. And the only place you can get these kits is from the USCCA. It's custom made by Otis for us. So I'm definitely going to get one of these babies. So here we go. Gun winner. The email address starts with GFAYE. I'll say that again, GFAYE. So if your email address starts with GFAYE, you'll be receiving an email from somebody in this company explaining to you how the whole process of winning the gun for free works. So super excited about that. Let's move on here. So I had a really cool situation recently. I got to meet one of our fellow members who essentially was in a self-defense incident, and we got to kind of save his bacon. It was pretty exciting. But now don't forget, before I kind of talk about this guy's name is Tim Bale, there is one more gun that I'm giving away. Some people refer to that as an ethical bribe to keep you watching this video. Now after listening to Tom for so long, you're like, what do you mean, Tim? This is great. We just learned a ton of information. You don't have to give out any guns anymore. I'm just joking. I'll still do it. So seriously, right now, I know that our member service team is wide open. So if you have any questions about USCCA membership, about some of the comparison concepts that Tom talked about, feel free to call. The number is 877-677-1919, or you can click the button below to get more information as well. One thing I did mention in the opening section of this broadcast tonight was that we recently launched our brand new Elite membership. That's the membership level that's above Platinum. And you should have heard about we kind of had a competition within the company to name the new membership level. Obviously, Elite won because that's what we're calling it. But it'd be fun sometime to kind of release some of the other names because there were some pretty funny ones. But seriously though, the new Elite membership that will give you $2.25 million of self-defense shield protection per incident. God help you if you're ever in that situation where you have to use your gun. And this is one of my commitments to responsibly armed Americans, to all USCCA members, is that every single year we will continually improve USCCA membership. We'll continually improve the self-defense shield so that you can be guaranteed that you'll always have the best protection in the country. So back to the thing about Tim Bales. Recently met, like I said, a fellow member of the family. He came out to the USCCA headquarters, gave us some great insights, some great testimony. Asked me, kind of put me on the spot, asked me some questions about what I thought about how I could continue to improve the USCCA, and it was a really neat trip. It's always fun to meet face to face with our customers, with our members, and so we put together a short video that kind of gives a highlight of this meeting that Tim Bales and I had. So. I think it's time to watch that video right now. So here we go.
I started carrying after seeing so many news reports about deaths and shootings. I didn't want to become another statistic on the news because I wasn't able to defend myself. I carry every day, just about everywhere. I need to be protected, and I need, when my wife is with me, I need to be able to protect her. I'm really thankful that when I became a member of the USCCA, I got training materials, some DVDs, training books. I got the Concealed Carry magazine, continually sending me training material. I think it's important to have good training materials, but I also think it's important to have good leisure reading with some training. And with Concealed Carry magazine, you get both of that. I haven't found anything on the newsstands that even comes close to Concealed Carry magazine. It's written in such a way that even novices like myself can understand what the content is. You don't have to be an expert because the experts are writing it. And I'm on the app, so I download it to my computer and to my Android devices, so I can read it wherever I'm at. I can pick it up and read it. The customer support has always been so amazing, so quick, and spot on every time. When you can call USCCA, and even if they don't have the answer right away, they have your email or they have your phone number, and they have called and emailed me back. And they always end it with, is there anything else I can help you with? Does this make sense to you? Do you have any other questions on it? That's an awesome feeling. I feel part of the family when they do that.
Oh, you as well, Tim, and thank you so much for being part of our family here. We're blessed to have you.
Thank you very much. I think it would be pretty amazing to meet Tim. You see him on the videos, you see him on Fox News. I just want to see if he is really in person the way he is on TV, because he's always so bubbly on TV and so helpful. Is that the real Tim? Because most CEOs or presidents, they're not like that,
Hey, Tim, I'm Tim Schmidt.
Hi, I'm Tim Bale. It's good to meet you.
Thanks for coming over to the HQ.
No problem.
You ready for the tour?
Let's do it.
All right. So how do I see the USCCA members? I know it may sound a little cheesy to say that I see them as an extended family, but that's actually how I see them. I see them as people who are almost brothers in arms, people who have that same value system, the same beliefs that I do. People are also willing, like me, to say that, hey, I'm the first line of defense for my family and for my loved ones. It's very humbling. It's very exciting to meet them face to face. But that's how I feel about my fellow USCCA members. So Tim, as you can see here, this is the member service area, which I kind of like to refer to as kind of the heartbeat of the company. And I call it that because, I mean, ultimately there's thousands and thousands of our fellow members who, their main impression or their only impression of the USCCA is, the people that they're talking to here. It gives me goosebumps coming down here and listening to them interacting with members like you or all the fellow members. The type of customer experience that I want people to have when they call in to the USCCA is I want them to say, wow. And I don't care if they're already a customer, if they're someone that's thinking about it, or if they're just a brand new prospect. I want them to say, wow. I want them to talk to someone who, first of all, knows about firearms, who's willing to share all the information that they can with the prospect or the member, and ultimately, give that person calling in more information so they can ensure themselves that they are leading that lifestyle of the responsibly armed citizen. All right, Tim. So this is definitely one of my more favorite parts of the company. It's called the Delta Defense Dream Board, and what I do is I encourage everyone that works here to participate. They don't have to. But ultimately, they put their dreams up on the board. That's why it's called the Dream Board. And the only rule is that they have to have dreams in each of 4 quadrants. And the first quadrant is stuff, which comes naturally. Most people, when you ask them what your dreams are, they want a bigger house or a faster car. But the other quadrants are community service, personal growth, and personal experience. So.
I like seeing this. It really puts a new light on your service people.
Yeah.
The level of support that USCCA gives, it shines through, it shows. This is amazing.
Cool, thanks. So Tim, as you can see here, we're in the marketing, IT area, second floor of the office. Down that hall, you can see there's our legal and finance team, and that's where the critical response team is as well. Of course, that's the real, true first line of defense for our members when they need to call in. I'll tell you what, I would love to sit down and maybe learn a little bit more about why you're a member and how we can maybe improve things. Should we go to the conference room?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, Tim, thank you for, first of all, being willing to come up to our new headquarters. I'll admit I'm kind of always proud to show this place to new members or members. But also, man, thanks for being willing to sit down and talk a little bit. So I guess I'd like to start by asking you, how long have you been a USCCA member?
I've been a member just about a year, going on a year in about another month.
Really? And so can I ask you, did something happen in your life that caused you to think, God darn it, I need to join the USCCA? Or
I guess part of it was because of failing health issues. I finally came to realize when I hit 50 last year that there's a lot of things I can't do anymore, and letting someone get in my safe zone is one of them. So I had to go back to firearms. I had to start reading on them, training on them, and then I ran across USCCA and saw the insurance, and I'm like, wow, it made sense. The money that you spend on lawyers, and then the amount of time needed to study, the training, it just all made sense.
And I'm so glad that you understand how the importance of that education and the training as well. It's not just buying the gun and thinking that it's like this magical tool that will save you from harm. It's quite a lot different.
Most definitely. Without the training, 95% of what I know today on firearm safety, I did not know before I started training with USCCA.
Wow.
So that goes from reading the materials on the emails to the website to buying the materials and reading from the different trainers. The CCM magazine is it's incredible.
Well, hey, I thought I would love it if you had any questions or comments for me. I'd love to hear them.
Well, I have one major one. Recently you partnered with PDN, Personal Defense Network, and such a great organization to partner with. What's USCCA's plans for the next 2-3 years? Partnering, training, enhanced services. What can we look for down the pipe?
From a member perspective, my high-level goal is just to continually make being a USCCA member just a better and more valuable experience. Now, I realize that's kind of a fluffy answer. So to be specific, one of the things that I'm always committed to is that every single year we're going to completely redesign our self-defense shield benefit and just make it better and better and better. And it's important to me that we always have, by far the best self-defense shield product. So that's the one component, but the other component is I want to just make a better training experience for our customers, for our members. So whether that's live training that happens at our new headquarters, or maybe that's helping our instructors to be better instructors all across the country, I really want to make it easier for people like you and I to train on a regular basis. So that's. What do you think about that?
I totally agree with that. Responsibly armed American, the slogan that you see on the shirts.
Right.
And in the books. To me, responsibly armed, that means educated, highly educated.
Awesome. Well, very good, man. Well, I got to tell you, I know I've already said thank you a couple times. Man, thanks again for coming. And I asked the guys to put together a special gift for you taking all this time out of your schedule to come up here. So this is one of our newer range bags, and it's loaded up with lots of additional training stuff. So please accept that on the behalf of all of the great people that work here. And again, man, I really appreciate you coming up.
No problem. Appreciate it, and continue the good work.
All right,
Looking
thanks.
forward to the future.
You got it, Tim. Thank you, man.
Thank you. My name is Tim Bales. I am a USCCA Platinum Plus member, and I'll be a member for life.
I'm so glad I got to meet Tim. He's just a stand-up guy who wants to protect his family. And he's a great example of all the responsibly armed Americans who make up the USCCA family. Hearing his story and his dedication to training and education is just another reminder that what we do as a community matters. We're truly impacting people's lives. Heck, we're even saving them. Guys, we're all in this together, and Tim is a perfect reminder of that. Now, I personally hope he never has to call us for help, but honestly, I sleep better at night knowing that people like him are ready to do the right thing. Tim Bales is a man who hates violence. He never wants to use his gun in self-defense, but he's also a man who's ready to protect his family. And if he's ever forced to pull that trigger, we'll be there protecting him from the crushing aftermath. Guys, that's why we do the training like this, to help prepare you. And your huge discounts on training and that $494 new member bonus package are just the great tools to help you do that. Plus, seriously, who doesn't want to win a free gun? That's why I encourage you to take advantage of tonight's special offers. Go ahead and claim that free bonus package worth $494. All you gotta do is just click the big button below to get started right now, and you'll be enjoying up to $2.25 million in self-defense shield protection. Now, current members, don't worry, I'm not forgetting you guys either. Your huge discount on training is the perfect next step in your self-defense plan. And you'll get that same $49 cleaning kit absolutely free as well. All right, the lines are wide open. Give us a call right now, 877-677-1919, or simply click the big button. All right, guys. Hey, thanks again for sticking around tonight. I really hope you've enjoyed this training. And I am about to select the last gun winner. It is coming up soon, so just stand by. But first I want to talk a little bit about why we do this training. I kind of mentioned before that how important it is to get yourself into the habit of simulating what you would do, what you would think about in a deadly force scenario, because as we all hope and pray, we don't want the deadly force scenarios to happen in real life. So that's why we do this training. It's not just about picking the right gun. It's not just about making sure you have the right self-defense insurance plan. Guys, at the USCCA, it's all about making sure that you're ready before, during, and after. And that kind of reminds me something that my father would always tell me. Not only that, but it came from my dad, and it also came from Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. He talks about there's two types of people. There's people who prepare, and there's people who are in denial. And there's one thing that really rang in my head from the time I got to meet Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. He said that, Tim, denial and hope are not a strategy. So my challenge to you tonight is, if you're watching this, and any bit of this, if it's resonated with you, if you're thinking to yourself, my goodness, this is something I should really think about. This is something that I should think about going down that path to help me be that better protector and defender. I want to urge you that you need to follow that gut feeling. It's a good habit to get into following your gut feelings, especially in this situation. We have so many great things that we're giving away to our brand new members tonight, there literally is no risk. And I want to be that person. I want to be able to have your back in that situation where you need it. Another thing to think about, guys, and this blows my mind when I think about this perspective. So, we all have different insurance, right? I have insurance for my trucks. I have insurance for my cars. I mean, house, all this stuff. I mean, nowadays, people even have insurance on their cell phones, right? So why do you do this? Why do you have insurance on this stuff? Because most people don't have that amount of money sitting around to replace it if you crash your car, if your house burns down, or if you get struck by lightning, or if you drop your cell phone in a toilet. I've never done that, but I've heard that that's a thing. But that's why you do it. You have that insurance to provide that money so that you can replace those valuable items. So let's try to apply that to self-defense insurance, self-defense protection. So would that also make sense? I would argue that it would even make more sense, because what's at stake isn't just money. What's at stake isn't just replacing something that costs a lot of cash. No, it's your freedom. Your freedom is what you can lose if you're in a situation you have to use your gun and you need to hire some of the best attorneys. You want to be able to afford them. So to me, it makes perfect sense to join an association like the USCCA, because we do have the best product, as explained by Tom. I'm so happy he did that. He did such a great job. Here's another thing I want to throw at you. So you all know that I used to be an engineer. Technically, maybe I still am an engineer. I certainly act like one or tell jokes like one. But this is a fascinating insurance statistic. So if you're an American and you own a gun and you own a home, now I'm guessing that the majority of you out there are Americans, hopefully. And also, I'm guessing the majority of you own a gun and a home. So for all of you out there, for every 3 home insurance claims that you'll experience in your life, you'll experience 1 self-defense related claim. I'll say that again. So every time there's 3 home insurance claims, you'll experience 1 self-defense insurance claim. So it's kind of a fancy way of saying that self-defense claims happen about 1/3 as often as home insurance claims. However, here's the big thing. The self-defense related claim, on average, will cost 7 times the amount of the home insurance claim. So to me, that blows my mind, because I think we all, if you own a home, it's absolutely silly not to have homeowners insurance. I mean, we all do. But in reality, if we're a person that carries a gun, if we're a person that's made that commitment to be that responsibly armed citizen, and that gun's in our house to protect our family, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to have to use it, and the claim is going to cost 7 times as much. So from that point alone, again, it makes so much sense to be a USCCA member. So with that being said, guys, tonight, here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself this question, do you own a gun for self-defense? All right, that's a pretty simple question. Do you own a gun for self-defense? Is there someone that's depending on you to defend them, or to defend them? Maybe that's you, maybe that's a loved one. If you're ready to take control of your personal defense future, I want you to become a USCCA member tonight. I don't want you to wait till tomorrow. I don't want you to wait till next week, because that may be too late. I want you to become a USCCA member right now. And the reason I want you to do that is because I want to be able to help you and your family if you're ever in that position where you have to use your gun. I want to be able so that you can call our critical response team 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I want you to have that one single number that will literally make sure that all the steps that you take are the right ones. I want to be your backup plan. So all you got to do, guys, call the number 877-677-1919. I know that right now we have probably close to 80 people on the phones, taking calls, answering questions, helping you to truly understand that this is the right decision for you. So please make that call. Type in your chat questions. I know our whole marketing team is on chat as well. Facebook, whatever it's going to be, let us be there for you. Let us help you make that right decision. Because honestly, guys, I want you to be that next USCCA family member. I want to call you a fellow family member. I want you to be there. I want you to be ready before, during, and after. And I know that it'll be a good fit. So we're about to pick that last gun winner. I've just been instructed that I still need to kind of recap the special bonuses. So if you're a non-member, if you're going to be a brand new USCCA member tonight, don't forget we have that $494 training package. Of course, we also have this awesome universal handgun cleaning kit. This is worth $49. For members, for those of you who are current USCCA members and you're watching right now, we have that huge discount on the Next Level training package. And of course, also for members, we have that tactical flashlight that's worth $75. So as you can tell, we got a lot of awesome stuff. We're trying to make it a completely no-brainer decision why you should pull the trigger right now, no pun intended. All right, so gun winner number 3. Matt, are you ready to fire that over to me? Yes, you already did it. You're always ahead of the game, Matt. I appreciate that. All right, so gun winner number 3, drum roll please. Ladies and gentlemen, if your email address begins with, is that 2 L's? W-I-L-L-I-A-M, oh, William. William K, W-I-L-L-I-A-M-K. If that's the beginning of your email address, you'll be receiving an email from us, and you will get further instructions on how to claim your free Glock 19. So, again, just to recap, don't forget that everyone that buys anything tonight, any membership level, you get this free kit. Just click the button below or call 877-677-1919. Another way is just to go to joinuscca.com, or for the members, you can go to usccamembersonly.com. Yeah, guys, I guess at this point, all I can say is, thank you all for participating in this. I think we did a pretty good job tonight. Apologize about the audio glitch. I'm sure that we'll figure out that there was some nefarious organization trying to sabotage this amazing live training broadcast, and I can't wait to find out who it was. I do want to thank all of the viewers for watching. I mean, I know there's thousands and thousands of folks watching right now, spending your time, your valuable time to learn more, and I applaud you for that. It means a lot to me that you're willing to invest your time and energy into becoming a better protector and defender, so that's great. I got to tell you from the bottom of my heart, it's truly a privilege to serve this community. Probably the smartest thing I did was surround myself with people that are a lot smarter and more capable than me, which is obvious as you look at all the professionals that are making this production work, as well as the 4 people sitting at this table. So thank you for that. And I want to encourage all the folks that are still watching this to please provide feedback. Give us some comments on how we can improve this. You don't have to say make the audio work, because obviously we know that that's supposed to happen. But feel free to let us know what you really think about this sort of training and how much of an impact it had on you. So of course, for those of you that maybe came into this a little bit late, the replay will be available shortly. Please share this with your friends and family. Send the link. It's free training. Of course I'm gonna try to convince them to join the USCCA, but you want them to join as well. So please share this with your friends and family. Really appreciate you guys sticking with us. I did just get this here on my screen from Matt. Just quickly want to share a few comments. I feel horrible about the tragedy that happened in California earlier today. Not a ton of details coming in, but I just want you all to know that our hearts go out to the victims and everyone involved in that horrible situation. So I'm sure we'll find out more information, but that's really too bad. So I think we have maybe a little more time for questions. Have you guys got anywhere to be right away? Nope. Okay. I do want to ask Tom something, because as usual, Tom Grieve steals the show again. So seriously though, so Tom, the monologue that you went on about the comparison, I can't tell you how many people call into our call center and that they just want to know explain the difference. We need to understand, because it's complex, it's complicated, and you did a great job. So thank you for that. Is there any way that the viewers can go to your website and just give you some good feedback? What's the URL?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our URL is grievelaw.com. That's Grieve, just like the word to grieve, Grieve, law.com. Something that would be tremendously helpful for us, all the attorneys at the firm. Many of us are former state prosecutors. All we do is criminal defense drunk driving. Something would be tremendously helpful is if you just Google Grieve Law. We're located in Milwaukee as well as in the suburbs. And if you could just take a few moments to leave some 5-star review feedback on Google, on our Google Places page, that would really mean the world to us. So I would really appreciate that. Again, that's Grieve Law in Google. And then right where they have those little star rankings and everything in the upper right, if you could just, if you wouldn't mind just taking a moment, leaving some reviews, some 5-star feedback, that would be tremendous. Thank you.
Yeah, please do that, you guys. I think that it's crystal clear that Tom adds so much value to this. Tom does this out of the bottom of his heart. I still can't believe that he's willing to come all the way up to West Bend and provide so much value. So seriously, Tom, thanks a lot. And guys, please hook him up. All right, I think we got maybe a time for three more questions. Matt, how's that sound? 3? Okay, here we go. Question number 1, what are the legal ramifications of using your gun in a gun-free zone?
Felony charges?
No.
Depends
not
where
typically.
you are.
Yeah, and again, we go back to I call them the old days before 2011, before we had a concealed carry law. If you use your gun legally, the fact that you were carrying a gun is the least of your problems. If you use your gun illegally, the fact that you were carrying a gun is the least of your problems. So the first self-defense shooting we had in Wisconsin was in a gun-free zone. In the Aldi store in Milwaukee. And lo and behold, what happened was all of those gun-free zone signs suddenly came down at Aldi stores. So it comes back to how you acted when you were using your gun. And police officers are going to get there. They're going to investigate every element of this incident. And if it comes to pass that what you did was legal and proper and you saved a life, you're probably not going to get charged with that carrying a gun in a gun-free zone, which for the most part is a trespassing fee. If is a trespassing ticket if someone says, "You have a gun in my gun-free zone here in the state of Wisconsin, get out." And if you at that point say, "No, I'm not leaving," well, then you can be charged with trespass or with disorderly conduct. In other states, it may be different. It can rise up to a felony in some states, but here there's not a whole lot of problems carrying a gun in a gun-free zone if you leave when you're told. But for me, a gun-free zone sign just means conceal my gun better. That's the way I look at it.
Well, and to be clear, when I hear gun-free school or gun-free zone, I always think the next 2 words, gun-free school zone.
Yep.
I think of that. I think of post offices. I think of airports beyond the point of a security terminal and so forth. So just to be clear, I don't think anybody here is advising that people should go out and break the law. But at the same time, we all have important decisions to make on a daily basis, whether that's if we're going to the hospital, we're going to necessarily drive the speed limit, or we're going to go 5 miles per hour faster, whatever the case may be. So we all have decisions. We all have to make important decisions every single day. But I completely agree with what you guys were just saying. But keep in mind that laws in your state may vary.
Yeah, it's your responsibility to know the law where you're carrying your gun. The local laws, the state laws, it's a patchwork. It really is.
Yeah, and they'll vary greatly. I guarantee the concealed carry and weapons laws in Wisconsin are a heck of a lot different than New Jersey, California, New York. So
Chicago.
Yeah.
The thing I ran into most often is that the issue only comes up when the person doesn't want to leave. Okay, they had a rule, you can't have a gun, they saw your gun, you gotta go.
Yeah. All right, question number 2, guys. This is interesting. Can my training and preparedness be used against me by a prosecutor?
I mean, look, the answer to that question is anything that can come in under the rules of evidence that apply in your state can and may be used against you. So if the training is going to be part of your background, and I'm not trying to be technical here, but I guess the answer is it depends. It depends on what the prosecutor knows, depends what the investigating officers find out, and it depends what the laws in your state are. That being said, you are far more likely, in my estimation, and anybody by all means disagree with me here, but you are far more likely to be finding yourself in front of that jury without that training, okay? Which is to say that I would much rather have a client who's been trained, not because it shows that they're bloodthirsty or anything, just the opposite. And that goes back to not only just training, but the right training. Talking about de-escalating, talking about being able to be calm, talking about target isolation. This is somebody who took all the right steps. That training is going to do a tremendous amount when it comes to not only keeping you out of trouble in the first place, keeping you out of court in the first place, but also then it can actually work for you if you have the right training.
And I think it's really important, too, that you may be faced with a very overzealous prosecutor who wants to say that, oh, this guy owned 15 guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. He's just waiting for a gunfight. That's why he went and took all this training. But if you have a very good criminal defense attorney, that criminal defense attorney will then stand up and say, no, this man took this training to make sure that he was situationally aware, that he was avoiding conflict, that he was not an active participant in what was going on. He was trying to avoid it. So it comes back around to having good legal representation, and that's what the USCCA provides, is gives you that opportunity to pay for good legal representation. So you have an attorney who will say to the prosecutor, no, this guy got training so he could avoid this situation.
And it comes down to the training. Training like this, where you discuss it, it's organized, all elements are taken into account, and you work on it repetitively. Looks way better in court than you out at Uncle Steve's house running around in camouflage saying I'm training.
Yeah.
There's different types of training. This
That's
is
a great point,
amazing
Pete. Yeah.
training.
And just to piggyback what Kevin was saying as well, I get it that we in the firearm community have a natural proclivity, a natural fear of what could happen, okay? That's a large part of the reason why we're all here right now, right? We think one step ahead, 10 steps ahead about what could happen. As a natural result, people, I think, are going to be more concerned, and they're going to be more heightened in those concerns about what could a prosecutor introduce. But to go back to exactly what Kevin was saying, this is the voice of experience. I have been in court when prosecutors have characterized 200 rounds of ammunition in a house as a hoard. I've been in court, right. I have been in court when prosecutors when prosecutors have characterized 8 firearms in a house as a stash, okay, as nobody needs that. I have been in court when I've seen judges say that there's no reason why ordinary people need to own hollow points, okay? That's just for, as they said, military and law enforcement, okay? Hague Convention aside, I guess. So, look, this goes back to why you need a good attorney, okay? You need an attorney who understands firearms. You need an attorney who understands what, for starters, a hollow point bullet is. When I was sitting in court when that happened, that wasn't my client. If it was, I would have corrected that judge. It was some other attorney's client, an attorney I didn't know, and that attorney didn't know the first thing from a full metal jacket to a hollow point to a soft point to you name it. And that judge, just as a result, along with that prosecutor, ran roughshod right over that attorney and as a result, right over that client. So it's extremely important to, again, who's your attorney, how are you going to hire him, and what's covered. Those are the 3 questions, to my mind, that you should be asking, and I always tell people to ask themselves whenever they're shopping for any kind of insurance product here.
Awesome. Guys, great answers. We're actually at 9 o'clock. I'm getting the word here that we need to shut things down. So I guess, first of all, I want to thank all of you again for being here. I really appreciate your time and your expertise and everything that you're willing to share. Thanks to all the Delta team members that are working their butts off right now. Everybody in our studio right now, I really appreciate you guys being willing to stay late here and do this. It means a lot to me. Thanks to all of our member service agents who are downstairs right now on the phones, talking to prospects and other customers. Thanks to the marketing team. I know you guys are cranking on all the different chats. Thanks to the fulfillment team that I guarantee you right now, they're packing these things up right now because they're probably flying off the shelves. Who am I forgetting? I always forget somebody. Thanks to the IT team for whatever you guys do. No, just kidding. Thank you. Thank you for the IT team to make all the IT stuff work. Now I'm going to pay for that. But seriously, thank you all for coming in here and watching this training and improving yourself. That's the mark of a good defender who's willing, someone who's willing to go out there and continually improve. So again, don't forget to claim all the great offers we got tonight. You know, this is the perfect time to join. It's not about the kind of protection that you need and want. It's the protection that your family deserves, and USCCA is where it's at. So all you got to do is click that big button below. Any questions, again, call 877-677-1919. Pete, thanks again. Tom, as usual,
Tim,
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Jerry, pleasure to meet you. Thank
my
you.
pleasure. Thank
all
you.
right. And of course, Kevin, thank
Thanks
you.
again, Tim.
All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Take care and stay safe.